Hi, I'm Sven Fössing from Cinemaware, and you are listening to Scene World Podcast.
Scene World Podcast. Again, I'm AJ.
And
Joerg is there.
It's Joerg, yeah. Again.
Again.
Number 6.
Yes. So,
and how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I am well. Yes.
Well, next time maybe I will welcome the people. Who knows?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. So
yeah.
So we're going to be talking to Charles Martinet in a minute, and that is kind of a biggins because Charles Martinet is Mario and Luigi and Wario and Toad and Waluigi.
Each.
So we're going to get into that in a minute, and that's going to be pretty awesome. Before we do that, though, let's recap some stuff that happened last time. Last time on the podcast. We talked to the Frag Dolls. We talked to Siren and Esper from the Frag Dolls, and that was a pretty cool interview. And one of the things that they were really supporting on there was a charity that they do for kids, for children's hospitals. It's called Extra Life.
Mario would say 1 up.
Yes. And they mentioned that, and I believe I said something in the podcast about how I might be possibly willing to do that. And because I am a man of my word, I have signed up. If you go to extra-life.org, you can search for me and find my page there. You can, look up my name, AJ Heller, or Derision, because I put that in there too. Or you can look up the Frag Dolls team, because I am on the Frag Dolls team, because that's what I did.
Let's have a look. Frag Dolls.
Yes, so
here we go, and then hit enter, and there we go, and then go to teams.
Yep.
And there you have the Frag Dolls. Amazing.
Yep. So I have done it. I've put my money where my mouth is. I will post the link to my fundraising page in the description. I am playing in support of the Children's Specialized Hospital in New Jersey. So anyone listening can go there and donate, and that would be awesome. And now that I've done it, Joerg, it's I'm throwing down the gauntlet. It's your turn, man. Ante up.
Well, sure, of course, I will sign up too. No question about it.
So
how perfect it is. We are talking about charity for children, hospitals, and we are actually talking to the hero of many childs, including my childhood. What fits more than having an interview with Charles Martinet about Super Mario and his acting, and combining that with an intro speaking about Extra Life campaign? That's totally fitting it.
That's right, yeah.
So, yes, that's pretty exciting, but that's not the only thing that will happen, that we join the Frag Dolls team on Extra Life.
And I just read that that Saber from the Frag Dolls has actually left. She's leaving the team to start a career at Ubisoft as a producer. So she's actually moving on from there. So they're down to 4 now. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I should try out. Maybe I should join the cadet program, and I could be the worst Frag Doll of all.
What would that be? Well, yes, we were mentioning the cadet program in the interview with them.
Yep.
And they actually have a homepage for that, fragdolls.com. And there you go to Fragdolls Cadets. But as Esper and Siren said in the interview, it's not yet out and official, but you should look for their announcement on the Facebook and Twitter page.
If you want to join their cadet program, keep an eye open, be part of their community, because that's where they like to recruit from. So
I guess we will announce it too, right?
What? that we're gonna start a cadet program?
No, that they are when they are looking for a cadet, we will.
If they post anything on Facebook or social media about looking for new people, we'll get you guys in by giving you the heads up, even if you're not paying attention. We'll give you guys the edge on that one.
Yeah, like we did with 3D Realms.
Like we have some kind of, clout in this business where we could help someone get a job or a position somewhere.
Well, yes. I mean, we did an announcement on the podcast page for 3D Realms. But, I mean, they are looking for AAA developers, so maybe somebody gets hired because of us. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, totally amazing. I mean, I was looking on Google and stuff, and we were even in mass crawlers for company news because they put it on their front page that they were guests at the SeaWorld podcast. This is so amazing,
Like it's a big deal or something.
Yes, and also the Twitter announcement of Fractals about their being parts on our podcast was pretty much hyped too. Mm-hmm. And it's totally amazing. I mean, usually you should know we are discussing about who we could invite next. And then, you noticed when we were interviewing Cinemaware, we were thinking about 3D Realms, and they said yes. And then we were thinking about why not catching Let's Plays and stuff. And then we got the Fractals.
Yeah.
And I watched their Twitch shows recently a lot, and they are really very good.
I conversely am not. And recapping, I did do a Let's Play last podcast, and it was pretty bad.
But it was funny. I mean, so you should check it out. It's totally hilarious.
Well, it was.
I would love to throw some potatoes on you.
That was fun. I enjoyed throwing potatoes at people. I didn't realize that you could do that, and then he caught it. The guy caught it. Yeah. Well, yeah. The one guy, he had it stuck in his shoulder. The other one was catching him in his arms. He had just this armload of potatoes. That's sort of the game, and I've played a little bit more since then because I have the games because they seem interesting, but I never get around to actually playing them. I'm awful at actually setting aside time to sit down and play the game.
Me too.
I've got I've got Call of Duty 2, I've got Call of Duty 4, I think. I think it's Modern Warfare. Yeah, Call of Duty 4. I've got Dirt 2. I've got all these games, Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, San Andreas. I got all this stuff on my computer, and I never actually get around to sitting down and playing it because I just don't have it's like you have to set aside an hour or 2 hours or something to do this, and I just never get around to doing it. But I since I did the little recording thing, I played some more of the game, and what's really cool about the game itself is that it's sort of almost kind of like a sandbox, like I was throwing potatoes at people, and you can run around and do all this random stuff that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the game, and that's where I get in the most trouble, is because I'm walking around, I'm like, ooh, a Jeep. And it's like, and I'm looking at that, and I'm not paying attention to the people shooting at me, obviously.
Well, the first game where I actually had this freedom and I really enjoyed it was Monster Truck Madness from Microsoft from 1996 or something, and I was like, well, I can drive off the track and go to hills and to seas and get stuck in the seas and stuff. Like, why would I do that? I don't know, but it's fun, Yeah,
well, you know what a great game for that is racing games sometimes will do that. I have Dirt 2, I think, on this, which is it's an off-road racing game, so there really is no track. You can go all over the place, but if you go too far, obviously it'll put you back on the track. Like the hand of God snatching your Dodge Power Wagon out of nowhere. But there was older games. Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation. I don't know if it was PlayStation 1 or 2. I'm going to say it was probably 2. Kingdom Hearts, which was kind of a mix of Final Fantasy and Disney. It was real weird. It was like you're Donald Duck and Goofy, and you're fighting like these it was a really weird game. But every surface of that game, like there was nowhere that you couldn't go. Like if there's a house there, you can jump on top of that house. It was like everything in the game you can somehow, it was that was the first game that I saw where you could actually really do that, where it was kind of like a sandbox, where you could go anywhere and do pretty much anything. Everything in the game. There was no like border where you can't walk off the street or you're stuck on like a path. No, you can go wherever.
Yes, and the same in Monster Truck Madness, but the world would just end when you reach the border,
Oh, are you?
But this could happen like for 10 minutes. You could drive in one direction.
Well, there's another one. There's a Big Rigs. It's a game. It's a badly made game that was released too early, and in that you're driving like 18-wheelers, and it like I said, the game was never finished. And if you get to the end of the world, you know how like normally the world ends? Well, you can just keep going. And like you're just driving through empty space as the world like disappears behind you. And if you go in reverse, like you have a finite if you go forward, you hit like a certain speed, you're 75 miles an hour, that's it.
Yeah.
If you go in reverse, you keep accelerating infinitely.
I know. I saw that on the Angry Video
Yeah,
Game.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right. So I mean that is just that game is just a mess, but
so guys, maybe give us some feedback. I mean, what would you think about the idea that we would do that for Extra Life? We would, play the games of the people that we interviewed recently, maybe.
Yeah, we'll Extra Life. There's a long lead up to it. I mean, the day that it happens is in November
7th.
Yeah.
So mark that in your calendar because on Saturday, the 7th in November, the Scene World staff will do something.
Yeah,
new.
I'll be doing something different. I'll be playing. I'll do it. There's a big lead up to it, and I guess we'll be plugging it as we go along.
But we don't know any details yet.
Yeah, we're ironing that out.
I really wouldn't like to spoil the surprise.
Yeah.
So anyway. So I want to throw out a big thanks for the support. I mean, what is really amazing is that when AJ and I started the podcast, we were actually considering maybe just the two of us talking. But then I said, no, I want a special guest for every episode, And so far we got really the famous people there, like Lars Sobirai and Laubsang Alvitas. From the Peruvian scene, and that journalist Lars, as I said, and CinemaWare and 3D Realms,
and Charles Martinet.
It's amazing, And the Fractals. I mean, and I don't want.
And if any of you guys have any ideas on who you'd like us to talk to, then throw us comments.
Yeah, podcast at cworld.org.
Yep.
Or Facebook. Mm-hmm. Or Twitter.
Yeah. Or you can reach out to us through our respective sites or Twitters or Facebook accounts or whatever. All of our stuff. The links are in the podcast descriptions. So
and on the top of the homepage.
Yeah, exactly.
World.org.
Mm-hmm. You can find us somehow.
Up. Yeah.
We got some feedback in from one of the last episodes, didn't we?
So we received an email from somebody who checked out the magazine and the website, and he wrote, "Hi, I just want to send a quick message to say thank you for the fantastic interview you conducted with Stuart Jaffe. I'm a big fan of the Computer Chronicles. My site at staquantum.com covers aspects of the series. And it was great to find out more about the series and Stuart's background. I will continue to browse your website and YouTube channel. All the best for the future." And this was from Shiraz. Thank you, Shiraz. That was very nice of you. And I hope you also enjoy the podcast, the disc mag itself, where the interviews are covered as a transcript, and also the other interviews we did. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I really think it's great because we put so much effort into making the magazine and the podcast and the video, and some video interviews will be with some of us and me. So the next video interviews are meant to be not only me and the guests, but more than one person from the staff.
Yes.
So, I mean, you should know we are 22 people, and I have to organize the gang and coordinate everything for the videos, podcast, and or coordinate guests and the disc mag. So it really takes a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun, and the feedback keeps me motivated, and so does it the staff.
Well, anyway, so
yeah.
we've babbled enough, and that was good.
Ding.
Yeah, that's going to be on it. We've babbled enough. Let's get right to the Charles Martinet interview. He's waiting there for us in the past. So.
All right. So, hi Charles. How was your trip to Denmark?
Oh, it was great. Thank you very much. A lot of fun. Wonderful fans here in Denmark.
Great.
In fact, I would start by saying, hello to all of my friends in Denmark. It's me, Mario. Woohoo! Mamma mia. You guys, you number one. Woohoo!
Great.
It's such a pleasure to be here in Denmark. I actually, the first flight I ever took in my life, and the first time I was out of continental North America, was a flight from San Francisco to Copenhagen when I was 12 years old, and we we landed here. It was the first time in my life I had ever tasted gravlax and caviar and a sip of my dad's champagne. And we were in first class, and it was back in the days when air travel was just the most luxurious, wonderful thing you could do. And we had such a great time. We were moving, as it turns out, to Spain. We were supposed to move to Belgium. But my dad said, I want sunny Spain. So we moved to Barcelona, Spain. But I remember vividly arriving in this wonderful country back then when I was 12 years old. And we were so excited. We stayed at a hotel that was right across from the Mermaid. And I remember, we arrived, and it's just this most incredible, beautiful place. I remember going to Tivoli Gardens. I remember we were so excited when we first got into our hotel suite, which the company had paid for, that my brother and I, seeing this beautiful Danish modern furniture, were so excited, we decided we should jump up and down on this gorgeous-looking settee, which we promptly broke two of the legs of. So sorry about that, Denmark, but that wasn't the best start for us, but it's been a great relationship since then.
Great.
It's been so much fun. I was here last year visiting a friend of mine, Peter Larson, who's just a terrific comedian and a great guy, and other friends too, Jasper and Lars, and we just have the most wonderful Danish food, which I absolutely love. And just a wonderful time. It's such a great city, Copenhagen, and I hope that I get to see more of Denmark in the spring.
Wow, great.
Excellent. What's happening in the spring?
The weather warms up.
Oh.
The icy, cool ocean breeze becomes a warm and temperate, nice little breeze.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's very cold out there.
Yeah, but it's actually not that bad. I mean, I'm just being a baby about it. It's. I've had great days in Copenhagen. Just really, what a wonderful, beautiful city. Going to an art gallery, to a few restaurants that were just absolutely spectacular. You guys do things with herring that I'll tell you, mamma mia, it's spectacular. Really, really, really. Every dining experience is an absolute treat for me.
That's great.
I like food. It's something Mario and I have in common.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Do you guys eat oysters and clams on the half shell here, the fruits de mer, like they do in France?
Well, we're not actually from Denmark. Joerg is German, and I'm in New Jersey.
I thought you guys were in Denmark.
No. We are both from abroad.
You're kidding me.
Yes.
Well, in that case, let's talk about Schweinshaxe and some nice pasta.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were here, but one of you said you couldn't quite make it to this great PopCon that I'm doing. I'm having a great time in Denmark. A great time. Tonight we met a whole bunch of great fans. I love the cosplay. They have great competitions in all kinds of things like those little star throwing and armor making, and
Great.
they're great anime characters absolutely everywhere. And of course, I met a wonderful share of Super Mario and Luigi too. Ho ho! It was great. I even saw Pikachu. So it's been a
Yeah.
great time. It really, I think all of my work is so much fun. But when I get to come to a con and meet fans from different parts of the world, everywhere in the world, the fans are the greatest. And the reception that I get is so absolutely kind and wonderful. It's just a wonderful, wonderful evening tonight.
And you are fantastic with the fans. I mean, you can tell when you're interacting with them that you really do love this.
I
And
do. I absolutely love people. I've always loved people. But when you see people in their natural habitat of joyful, playful, fun, excited, happy, with friends and making new friends and playing dress up and cosplay and playing their favorite games. And we were having these competitions in Mario Kart. We're having Smash Brothers competitions, which I won't participate in those because I'm so terrible at Smash Brothers. When there are 8 players playing, I sometimes I can't even tell where I am. I'm just it's like, where am I? Where am I? And as someone mentioned to me tonight, as soon as you don't know where you are, you've lost.
yeah, yeah.
That happens for me often in the first 10 seconds.
How are you at a Mario Kart though? Because
I'm pretty good at Mario Kart. I can pretty I'm fair. Not
okay,
not not. Oh, I'm okay. Yeah.
Actually, I heard that others told me when you play Mario Kart, you're actually making the noise yourself, right?
I do tend to do that a little bit. Yes. Yeah. Whoa 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 whoa. Yeah 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 yeah. Whoa 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 whoa. You know.
it's,
That it happens. That it does happen. It's just so much fun. Here's the greatest thing. I mean, I have the most wonderful life. I do what I absolutely love to do, which is doing voiceover work with people that are absolutely magnificent to work with, the people at Nintendo. And then I get to work with the PR department as well as the creative teams that make the games. I get to go into the office and meet all the people who love playing games and who's, just are passionate about it. I got to meet wonderful people in Japan, in Canada, in South America, Central America, Mexico, and Germany, and France, and all over the world. People that work with Nintendo that love it, and then I get the greatest joy of all. I think is meeting fans of Mario because the enthusiasm and the joy, and now of course the history that's there. People more and more and older people are telling me that they grew up hearing my voice and they grew up playing Mario games and it changed their lives and they loved it and they had such a great time and now they're playing it again and that you can never put Mario 64 away too long because you have to have it back out again, and the same thing with Galaxy. And then there are people that say, I played it for so many hours, it was the joy of my childhood, and now it's the joy of my parenthood to be able to play with my children. And I think, Mamma mia! But it's great, and meeting people all around the world that play Mario games is just so fun and so delightful. We as human beings need to remember the joy, remember the fun, remember the game. Life is so short, and changes are sometimes very tempestuous. But if you hold on to your sense of humor, your sense of joy, your sense of gratitude, and your sense of love, you will weather any storm.
Great.
And sometimes you find out that the storm that you think is this terrible tempest ends up putting you down on the tender ground of your future, which is a spectacular thing.
So,
So now,
well,
when you play Mario Kart against the fans, are they allowed to play as Mario, or would the universe implode if that were to happen?
Oh no, they can play. Well, I like to play as Mario, but I love to play as Yoshi too and Luigi. I'm really bad playing as Bowser, and I'm terrible playing as Wario because I can't control the. I'm not very good to begin with. Between you and me, don't tell anybody. But when I can't control the cart, I'm in real trouble. And what
Yeah.
could be more fun than being every once in a while, you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yoshi. I
that's
can't believe
true.
how can a dinosaur drive a cart so well? That's something I've just never understood. But he's brilliant.
Well, I think it's totally awesome because I'm one of those actually people that you were mentioning that grew up with Mario, and now I'm actually talking to the voice actor that does Mario, Luigi, and all the other people in the games, and that's totally amazing. So I'm really happy that you took time and take time right now to talk to us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. As I say, I love every aspect of what I do. It's not work if you love it, right? And just talking with you guys about it makes me happy, makes me want to pull out my 3DS and play a little Mario Kart 7. You know, it's all about fun. So, and it's a real pleasure talking with you guys. And I hope that you enjoy the interview. It's a lot of fun.
Of
Oh yeah.
course, as you saw, we prepared ourselves pretty well, also with some questions apart from the Mario universe.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, there's another universe? Oh,
According to
that
some
other
people.
galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Mario Galaxy,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's funny how you keep coming back to that game. People brought a lot of Mario Galaxy to autograph, and they do very often because that's a game that really it was huge for so many people. Like Mario 64, huge game, and Super Mario Bros. Wii, huge games in Super Mario Bros. 3D World and 3D Land, and it's all these games that it's so fun for me to see those game covers and autograph them because and then take a picture with the fans because I mean, you get to see how much they enjoyed the game, and you also get a sense for yourself. It's like, oh, I love this game. Mario Sunshine is a game that comes up a lot. People, it didn't get ever the huge notoriety of Mario 64 and Galaxy and things, but I'll tell you, what a great game.
That
That's
was a great
true.
one. That was I actually played that quite a bit.
Yeah, well, so we're very. Well, actually, you are doing this Mario right now for 25 years, but
24 years. I'm just
oh,
starting my 25th year. Yeah,
okay.
it was 19 well, it was actually 1990 when I auditioned for the first E3, not E3 but a CES, and that was I guess 25 years ago that I got the job. But the very first time we performed was at Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, Nevada. And what an incredible show when I saw tractor trailers full of gear and games and that was the beginning of my entrance into this magical world of Mario games that I'd never played one before. I didn't know who Mario was when I crashed that audition 25 years ago, and and everything was new, and I saw these games and they just gave me goosebumps and giggles, and I started playing, and I've been playing ever since. Not well, but I've been playing.
But you also did some other acting stuff.
Well, you're a classically trained actor. You studied in London and
It's
did.
true. I studied at the Drama Studio of London. Sir John Gielgud was the patron. That was a terrific year in London. A lot of young actors say, "I want to get into voiceover. How do you do it?" And it's interesting because for me, it all came to be for me being a voice actor. But first, I was classically trained because all acting is acting. You know, you have to know your character's through line, his heart, his intentions, his drives, his goals, his weaknesses, his strengths, you know, or her strengths or whatever, you know. And you have to know the motivation, and you have to give reason and thought and emotion behind everything, you know. And sure, you know, you the genuineness, you know, people say real, but it's genuine. It's just that in a movie, you know, when you're sitting in a close up, you know, if you're looking for someone, all you have to do is think, you know, where's Diane, you know. But if you do it broad like you do in the opera, you know, where's Diane, you know, it's going to fall completely flat, you know. And if you just think where's Diane, you know, in a video game, it's you know, not going to go very far. But you know, you where's Diane? You know, it's bigger. It's where's Diane? You know, it's got to have full of life. But the acting is all the same. It's just the size and scope of it that shifts and changes between the different media. So I always tell people, you know, become an actor, study acting, because study acting, you study people, and studying people, you study yourself, and you're getting to know yourself. You start to know more about what are my motivations, what is my love, what is my hate, what is my, you know, what are my positive sides and negative sides, what are the aspects of being that who I am, because that also gives you a chance to make choices about who you are and decisions about where you want to be or go in life. And you know, it's easy to fall into the default place of, you know, well, I'm supposed to go to college, get a job, work 7 days a week, have 2.5 children and 1.5 Mercedes Benz in a 4-bedroom house, you know, and lose track of who you are and where you're going. But you know, your character can lose track of where he is and where he's going. But you know, the resolution of the play is that he finds himself, and it's the same thing. Hopefully, in life for all of us, we all get a little lost, we all get a little found, and in the end, you hope that you bring it all together the way it is done so nicely in many plays and in video games, and you know, where the hero triumph. In fact, it's funny because I've been thinking lately that life is really like a video game. You get to choose the character you're going to be when you get up in the morning, you know, and the choices that you make throughout the day with the challenges and difficulties and the long-term things start to really create the character that you are, that you end up to evolve into being, you know, and so you get the choice for your thoughts and actions and feelings, where you're going to go with things. So I find that a fascinating dynamic. But yes, classically trained. Sorry, I don't answer questions linearly, do I?
That's
No
for the
problem.
guy.
Yes.
Classically trained, and I recommend that for everybody. Is you know, take classes and learn how to be an actor if you want to be a voice actor or a film actor. Learn through stage and television and video and film, because all that learning is just good for you. So when you turn the lights on to a character, he comes out full of the character, you know, full of joy, full of, or whatever that character calls for, you know.
Right.
Ah. So let me ask you, when did it actually start and you knew I'm going to be an actor?
Well, that's a really great question.
Thank you.
You know, my intention was to be a lawyer, and then a diplomat, and work overseas in London or Paris doing diplomacy. You know, work in an embassy somewhere. I thought that was always I lived in Spain and France, and when I was growing up, and I always thought, oh my gosh, those embassy people, that just looks like a greatest life ever. So I thought I'd end up doing that. And then I couldn't get the classes that I wanted at UC Berkeley for my final, where I wanted to write a thesis and a paper on the nature of man, because I loved Hobbes and Locke and Rousseau and Voltaire and, you know, and all the Machiavelli, all the philosophers, because I love humanity. I love studying, understanding what we do. You know, why can some people be so evil? Well, we all have it in us. Why do some people decide to? Why do some people decide not to? Why is Mother Teresa? You know, because she could see the opposite in herself, as she said, and decided on living, you know, the goodness, you know, as she said. And I find that so fascinating. Direct me back to that question a little bit, would you?
Well, yeah,
Even I take myself on a journey sometimes.
no problem. I was just asking, how did you actually decide finally to become an actor? So
Sorry,
you said you didn't get the classes you wanted to
thank you.
attend to, and what
Yes, I
happened after?
couldn't get the classes that I wanted, so I stopped going to UC Berkeley. I said I'm going to take the semester off until I can get back into the having the professor that I want, because he was the first professor that ever said, what do you think? Based on what you've learned, what do you think? And so I just wanted to take classes from him. And I couldn't get a single one. And the TAs who had graded my papers said, I'm sorry, well, I want you in this class so much. I can't get you in this class. So I decided to take a semester off, a quarter off, and start again. And a friend of mine said, come and take an acting class from me. And I said, Les, there's absolutely no way I could ever stand in front of people and talk. It's just impossible. I would probably die. And he said, no, come and take a class from me. I said, no, Les, you don't understand. I don't even talk when I'm in a group of three. And he said, no, come and take an acting class from me. We can have lunch at the cafeteria. The students run this cooking program. So you're getting really top class food, wonderful food before you go to class. And I went, food? Well, food. Well, yeah, I could do that. So, and somehow he roped me into going into this class. And I remember the first audition when that I did. I shook like a leaf. I thought I was going to die. First, I was hiding underneath the chair, hoping that he'd forget that I was there. And Les said, "Charles, you're up." And I got up, and I thought I was going to die. I thought I was shaking so much. My right leg was shaking, so I put my weight on it to stop it. Then my left leg was shaking. I put my weight on it, and I put my weight evenly when that started shaking. And then both legs were shaking. And I got to the end of the monologue, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm still alive, and people are still here. What are they doing here? And they said, wow, you're the only person that wasn't nervous. And so I went, what? That sparked a little tiny spark in me, like, wow, this is curious enough to keep doing. So we did more monologues and more scenes, and then I went and auditioned for Midsummer Night's Dream, and I wanted to play Oberon because I love that character. There lies Titania sometime of the night, and it's such a great, rich character. And we all watched each other audition, and I would then audition with mine, and I knew that I was the best, and I knew I would get cast. And my teacher Les said, don't depend on it, you just never know. And I said, no, but I know I was the best. And I went to the casting the next day to look at the boards, and not only did I not get Oberon, I didn't get person who moves scenery from left to right. I got nothing. And that failure, the strength of that failure, is what made me into an actor, because I then took every acting class I could take. I studied every monologue. I read all of Shakespeare. I read Stanislavski. I read books on mime. I started doing speech classes, and we won the tournaments, the first in the state, and then the first in the nationals. And then Berkeley Repertory Theater came out and auditioned for an apprenticeship, and I went in there against the same people who had played Oberon and all the leads, and I did Oberon's monologue, and I got into Berkeley Rep. And that was the beginning of a great 10 years in the theater. And that's what made me decide to be an actor, failing
That's amazing.
to get what I wanted. Yeah, it's so true, because you just, it's sometimes the greatest disappointments in life are the things that lead you to the best course for your action. You just never know, I certainly had no idea. I had no intention of being an actor, and then my first play that I ever did was Arms and the Man at Berkeley Rep. And, pardon me, madam, but there is a Serb on your balcony, and I'm playing this Transylvanian Yugoslavian in Arms and the Man, and people applauded. And these two guys, the nicest guys in the world, the set designers and the costume designer, were a couple, and they said to me, I don't know what it is, but you've got it. When you walk on stage, there's something unique about you. And I thought, oh, come on, you guys, come on, really? And, there was certainly something magical in me, shaking like a leaf. But I kept working, and I decided I wanted to be the best actor that I could be, and I dedicated my self to it. It's not enough to do a play. You have to do the best version that's ever been done, or certainly the best you can do. And so that's what I tried to do in my career in theater. And then I'm so lucky. One day to the next, I stopped doing the theater, failed completely at trying to do business, and then somebody called me up, a friend of mine, someone I barely knew. He said, "Do you want to audition for a corporate video?" And I said, "Sure. What's a corporate video?" He goes, "Well, it's a video that's corporate." And I said, "Well, what do I do?" He goes, "Well, you just act." I said, "I just act?" He goes, "Yeah," and then they pay you. I said, "Oh, I could let me try that." And I went in and I auditioned for this video, and I got the part, and it paid more in a day than I got in a week in the theater, and it was totally fun. It was just such great fun to, oh, look, monolithic memories. I say, those characters are quite unusual, aren't they? Just doing these lines and memorizing them and doing these lines and scenes and makeup it was just like doing the theater, but it was really right now. And I thought, wow, this is fun. And I got the first 10 or more that I auditioned for, and I'm like, this is great fun. And then corporate videos, just as they were dying, I was doing a commercial for Orchard Supply Hardware where I was standing there with the pitchfork. If you remember that American Gothic painting, the pitchfork with the husband and the wife, and the guy said to me that was great, because in those days lighting took about 9 hours out of every 9 hour and 1 minute day, and then, okay, light it and shoot it. It was a 15-second spot. And he goes, "That was great. Hey, listen, do you do voiceover?" And I said, yeah, sure. What's a voiceover? And he said, "Well, it's you read this copy, and you have to read it in 15 seconds. And I look, or 10 seconds or whatever. I said, Orchard Supply Hardware, the right item at the right price, right now." He goes, "Great, here's more money." That's how I became a voiceover actor. It's sometimes life is very practical that way,
Yeah.
So I started doing voiceover, and I did hundreds of radio and television spots. And then one day, somebody said, "Do you want to audition for a trade show?" And "What's a trade show?" "Well, it's a show for the trade, So, so I started doing computer trade shows. Inside the 4868 multiprocessing computer, there are 24 vectors of RAMs, and the M-DAL, blah blah blah, and that, and just like that. And then one day, somebody called me up and said, "Hey, you should audition for this a video game character. It's for a trade show in Las Vegas." And I said, "Well, I couldn't possibly do that. I'm a professional actor. I can't just walk into an audition uninvited. How humiliating if they said no. Where should I go?" And for some reason I went, and that's the magic of life sometimes, is that what you least expect suddenly becomes the most joyful, wondrous experience. And it's been 24 absolutely magnificent years of joy working with Nintendo and getting to play these characters that I love so much.
But you also played other characters, like
Well,
in the Elder Scrolls.
Well, yeah, that's another thing with the voice acting, is that you have such a great range in them, and
Oh, thank you. What brings you to the throat of the world? Yeah, the
Right.
Parthenets. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And King of the Dead in Lord of the Rings. That was a lot of fun. That's the great thing about being an actor, or being a voiceover actor, is that every single job you do is totally fun, If you give me a script, buy Pewett's water, it's the water with the most bubbles in it, I'm going to have a great time saying that, even though I've never tasted the water. You know what I mean? Because it's exciting and it's fun to be in front of a microphone and to create life out of words, to pull words off of a piece of paper and have a real life behind it. That's just playing in a sandbox for me. That's fun.
So you actually make up in your mind when you talk?
In my heart, it's more of a heart thing. If I see a picture of somebody, someone with big eyes might sound like this, or someone with little beady eyes might sound more like this, someone with a big jaw might sound more like this. Or how about a big smile. You see something in a drawing, and that's a wonderful gift for an actor because you go, oh, I love those big teeth, And sometimes it's playing the opposite. Sometimes this giant, dinosaur can you have a bigger voice like this, and so you go, whoa, that's what. An Italian plumber from Brooklyn could be, hey, get out of my face. I'm working here, all right? Or, hey, get out of here. I'm under the sink, all right? But, for me, when he said Italian plumber from Brooklyn, I have this principle that comedy should always, be gentle. And if I'm going to talk to children and people of all ages, I don't want to be sitting there going, hey, get out of my face all day long. It was an all day long job. And so I thought, well, I'll have fun with it, And I had played Gremio and Taming of the Shrew in the theater in a 1947 version in Italy. And, nice Italian guy, talk like this. And I thought, well, I could make him young and make him fun. And all of a sudden, when I heard action, it was like, okie dokie, hello there. It's me, Mario. Let's make a pizza pie together. And just started making things up, and I had so much fun, I didn't stop. So,
Did you
as
actually?
you can tell, it's hard to get me to stop.
No problem. No problem. That is why I actually wanted like a moment to talk to where we don't have a time limit, because I was asked by the Danish organizer yesterday by Per, like, how minutes do you want? And I said, like, well, at least an hour or something would be fine because I don't like to stop people and we would like to cover everything of that person. So
Sure, and
we are
when,
totally
when you
happy.
edit it into a 30-second interview, that'll be great.
Well, it will be longer than that.
Yeah, no.
I pulled your leg. Did you feel it tug? I pulled it.
Yeah.
So now I forgot what I wanted.
Well, no, we were talking about the range and all the different characters that you can do. That again, the dragon from the Elder Scrolls is so different from Mario. And for a lot of people, like I wouldn't even have known that you had done that voice had I not researched some stuff because it's so different. And a lot of people will pull up like Mel Blanc is one of the greatest voice actors, but it's like I see there's almost like a similar thing where you can do such a huge variation of different characters and voices, and it's just kind of amazing, really.
Well, you're very kind. I would never put myself on the same classification as Mel Blanc. He's like the Rolls Royce of. He's the guy that invented them all. He's the guy that created them all. I don't deserve to be on the same bus as him. He is. When you hear voices in today's world, it's because all of us of my age, at least, in their 20s or later, we grew up hearing his voice. You heard Pepe Le Pew and Bugs Bunny and literally the hundreds of characters that he did, and he invented them from scratch because nobody had been doing voiceovers before. So they all came right out of his imagination, right out of his heart. What an absolutely stunning person. But I'll tell you, it is one of the most profoundly wonderful things anybody's ever said to me was, Mel Blanc was the voice of my father's childhood, and you're the voice of mine. And that what could be more of an honor than that, to know that you make somebody smile and have fun. But yeah, definitely Mel Blanc was he was in the category. He was the only one in that category as the true great creator of animation voices. Without which nobody, we'd all love to follow suit, and be that good. But, he was certainly the inspiration to do that. But he created such variety and such wonderful, joyful characters. They're just fantastic. They were so lucky to have him. We're all so lucky to have him. And it's like piece of destiny, isn't it? If he had decided to be a truck driver, we may never have heard of him,
Yeah.
William Shakespeare, if he decided, writing, there's not enough profit in that. I think I'll go into grain trade. We'd have never read these beautiful plays. It's just amazing how life just somehow just works that way. When you do something that you love, it really does give you more to do that you love.
Well,
it's
we
like
didn't.
grateful. The more you're grateful, the more things you have to be grateful about. The more fun, the more joy, the more happiness, the more love. It all just is energy that just seems to generate itself.
That's true. We didn't think that if we would do a podcast someday that we would talk to the voice of Mario. So it's the same thing. You just start something up. You never know what you are ending up with in the end.
You're so kind. Yeah, thank you. That's very kind. Yeah, it's a great life, and it's so short and it happens so quickly. You have to have as much fun and joy and be as good a person as you can be because it all happens so fast.
That's true. By the way, I actually heard that you also do voice acting in other languages, like in Japanese or something.
Oh no, I can I can say konnichiwa, Mario desu, and things like that. Bonjour, c'est moi, Mario, woohoo, in French, and hola, soy yo, Mario, woohoo, e Luigi también, ho ho. That sort of things. But I do speak Spanish, French, and some Italian. I can think in the language, but I have often been accused of speaking a language that's somewhere in between Spain and Italy, somewhere in the Mediterranean.
So you are actually multilingual.
Yes. I tried to learn German too, but every time I would go to Germany, people would always I would ask them a question in German, and they would answer me in English because everyone's so polite. Oh, please let me help you with this.
No problem. So, by all the things that you did, is there actually something that you would like to do that you didn't do yet?
I'm pretty happy. I don't audition for a lot of things anymore. I'm happy and content to do. I really love doing Mario games, voicing the games, doing the PR and advertising for it, and going out and doing fan shows. Fan shows are just so great. They're so much fun. The atmosphere is joyful and playful and mirthful and fun. And meeting people, it's not many people that you get to say, hey, I really appreciate what you do. You hear that, if you've got a job driving a garbage truck, you don't get to say that. So I make it a point to say to the garbage man, I really appreciate you doing this, but I get that. I get told that people appreciate what I do, and what a gift, what a joy that is. So I just love conventions. I love fan shows. I love seeing people being happy doing what they're loving doing. And that's one thing I just try to encourage for everybody in every walk of life, because if you do want to be a garbage truck driver, you should be a garbage truck driver, and you should be the happiest one in the whole wide world, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't. I mean, it's okay to back up, to do a backup, get a college degree as a backup. But, if your dream is to drive that truck, then, get that 18-wheeler or whatever it is, do it, Keep your own dreams alive and do what you love and follow your heart and follow your passions, because you are creating, everything.
Yes.
And so create it fun.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when I was a kid, I actually wanted to be that was my dream job as a child, to be a garbage truck guy, because it seemed like so much fun to ride on the back of the truck,
Right?
Well, nowadays you have got.
Well, you see, and that's why it's good to be staying present with yourself, because if you wouldn't want that job now, that you can allow your dreams to grow and expand and change even.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Nowadays we have garbage truck simulator on the PC.
But where I've lived for so many years, they still have guys that grab those metal cans and walk down the steps, put your garbage into that big bin, and then walk back up the steps. It's like, wait a minute. I said, can I try to lift that thing? I couldn't even lift it up. But then the idea of putting it on your shoulder and walking down steps, filling it full of people's concrete and whatever else they put in their garbage, and then walking back up the steps 300 times a day so that you can go home and take a bath and get up in the morning and do it again at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's hard work.
Yeah, that part of it I wasn't too thrilled with, but
yeah, that's even harder than voiceover.
That's true.
Where they say, "Come on in and play," and you go, "Woohoo! okie dokie, yeah. It's even harder than that.
What
And it is
actually,
amazing because the folks that I work with, they work so hard and so much goes into creating a video game. It's remarkable. It's years of the creative teams thinking and conceiving ideas, and then inventions and villains and good guys and helpers and twists and turns in every plot, and new ways and new adventures you get to explore inside of their creative minds, and it's magnificent. And I come in, a voiceover talent comes in there and spends 4 hours, or 8 hours, or 16 hours, and it's a piece of the game that you recognize. And I think it's just been in the last few years that people are recognizing voiceover actors so wonderfully for the work, and it's much appreciated because uh, it's other people that do most of the work, 99.9%. But we get to come in, and when you decorate the cake, people go, "Oh my goodness, look at that! Happy anniversary!" It's like, wait a minute, somebody baked that cake, somebody grew that flower there, somebody did all this other work that went into it. But it's really an honor to be recognized for doing something that I love to do so much.
Actually, I would think it would be along the same lines as like a movie where there's so many people go into making a movie, and it's the actors are what you recognize from the movie, but it's such a huge production behind it.
That is absolutely true. It's amazing. And if you're on a movie set too, it's like there are rings of where the concentration, gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and everything is moving towards that center of the storm, which is when the lights and the camera and the action happens, into that one distilled moment. Everybody's concentrated work for years gets into that one, just those tiny seconds where you get the opportunity to get it right, and that is really an exciting thing to do.
I wanted to ask, since you are doing this for so long, how you think it's changed over the past, well, 20 years, 25 years? Because I know when I was a kid, video gaming was a sidekick thing. It would be like geeky, and you would
Yeah.
be like an outsider. And nowadays, especially Nintendo created something like casual gamer, and gaming is getting more popular,
Well, it's
like
now
normal.
it's now outselling music and movies and television and everything else as the biggest form of entertainment now.
It is. That's spectacular, isn't it? I mean, when I auditioned for Mario, I had played Pong, and waka 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 waka, and and tuck, 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 asteroids and space invaders, and then I thought that video games disappeared, and suddenly Mr. Miyamoto and the creative teams at Nintendo come up with this Italian plumber from Brooklyn, and the next thing you know, that it's side scrolling. It's not just on one screen, but it's side scrolls, and then all of a sudden, you've got this handheld, and then and then it keeps evolving, and now you've got this 3DS and the 3DS XL, and these magnificent things that you can carry with you and live and play the games, and then the Wii, so that people will get off the couch and start playing the games there. And it's remarkable, the evolution. And always, though, the thing that's amazing to me is the integrity of the characters, because even though that you had 8-bit technology and you have Mario running along, inside a single screen, you suddenly have it, that character today, 30 years later, is just the same guy. It's just we have more dimensions and more fulfilling views of him, and more adventures and more fun, diving deeper into the creative geniuses that create so much fun. I just find that absolutely amazing, the evolution of gaming, and I think it's great. People love to play, and what a great thing to do. It's great fun. It's certainly inspiring to play a game. For me to play a Mario game, I'll never make it through one, but it's inspiring to see that creativity. It's joyful. It brings fun, and you can concentrate for hours, and you go, wow, that was just great. And then you go back and play it again tomorrow because it's about the gift of fun. And that's what gaming is, the gift of fun. So it's great that, I'm not a business person. I don't know anything about, finances or technology or anything, but it's great if it supersedes the revenues of films or bowling. It's because or CDs. It's because it's so great.
What I would like to know is, I think you probably followed the media in the past years that there were two statements made. One was that video games make people feeling lonely because they are getting so much into games that they don't go to work anymore. They lose their social life just to play. Isn't that too extreme in a way? So it can be
Well,
like a,
okay. That's I hadn't actually heard that, but you could say, well, okay, let's fill in a blank there. Texting, internet, sports. You can fill in the blank, fill in that blank, and call it video game to make a headline. But video games are great. It's like, wow, having fun sure is a terrible thing. It makes you lonely. It makes you. No, how about it's wonderful because you're having fun, and you're not doing it alone. I don't play games in a vacuum. I love to play with other people, and you look at this convention, you don't see people that are isolated and alone. People go to fan cons because they have something in common. They have shared interests, shared passion, shared joy, and they meet people at these cons and they become friends for life. People have this dedication. They'll spend a year making a Princess Peach costume, and they walk in the door, or a Princess Daisy, or a Mario, or a Toad, and they walk in the door, and you go, "Oh my goodness, that is spectacular!" I see whole groups of friends at some of these cons that just, they are the whole characters of the Mario series, and it's just magnificent, and some anime series, and you just. I stopped and I said, "Can I take a picture? You guys are so cool. Where did you meet?" "Oh, well, we met at this con over there, about 9 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. And she likes to make this costume, and I like to make this costume, and he likes to do this, and they do these batches of lifelong friends exploring their joy and fun and passion together. That doesn't sound isolated and alone to me."
So you think it's a matter of self-control and how you make your life?
Well, isn't that everything? I say to everybody alive, particularly people that would write something like, well, video games make people isolated and alone. Ho, ho, ho. I would love for them to go to a con. I wish they were here right now at PopCon or at any of the shows that I do, and I hope I do tons of them this year and every year, because it's like I want them to walk in the door and see what this isolated and alone is when you have 1,500 people crammed into an auditorium to watch other people sing karaoke or to do kimono contests. And, it's magnificent. And people recognize, that it's beyond fun. It's an amazing sense of passion and joy. People are learning Japanese because they want to understand anime, and we have people here that are all dressed in the tea house. Somebody created Japanese designed walkways and entranceways just out of pure joy and passion, and they're doing Japanese tea, and they're dressed in kimonos, and they're having a kimono contest. I mean, the passion that video games and anime can inspire is magnificent. So forget the bah humbug, isolated and alone. Come to one of these shows, and but I warn you, if you think that it makes you isolated and alone, you might find yourself, completely so thrilled with it that you won't be able to stay away from cons, because when you see people having so much fun, you either have to get into it or run away.
I think there's also a certain social aspect in gaming that we've covered a couple of times. That playing with somebody, even just having somebody watch you play a game to mock you when you fail or whatever is kind of some of the most fun of it.
Yeah, I see older brothers playing with younger brothers and younger sisters, and the younger brother and sister are, putting those little platforms in front of Mario and that gets them joyful and passionate. And good job, bro. I see it bringing families together. I meet people all over the world who say, it was the joy of my childhood, and now the joy of my being a parent is to be playing with my children, and it brings us together. And the kid says, yeah, it's my time with my dad. So I mean, it's fantastic. I meet soldiers, American soldiers in Europe, and they come with these beautiful, sweet, wonderful families to meet and talk about games and get an autograph and a photograph together. And it's a family environment. It's a family joy of being together. And you see the same light in the children's eyes is in the parents. And it's beautiful, that smile, that joy, that sense of togetherness and fun. It's very tender. It's very tender to me.
But by all that business that you have, do you sometimes take a break? I mean, if you say you run around and you do this and attend there, and I guess at some point you need a break sometimes, I guess.
I love travel. And when I'm not traveling doing business, I travel for pleasure. When this convention is done, I'll be sad, but I'll get on a plane a few days later and go somewhere, and then a few days after that, I'll go somewhere else. And the world is such a beautiful, amazing place. I love being in Europe is a very special joy for me. Being in Asia, very special joy. Different food, different art, different culture, different language, different light. The different artwork, but it's different light. When you watch a sunset in Australia, it's a different sunset from Hawaii or Italy or Spain, and it's a different daylight and different everything. And people are slightly different, and I love people. I love seeing people, and it's just great. I love it. So I never get tired of travel. I never get tired of working. And people say to me, gosh, you've been doing it for, 24 years. Do you ever get tired of doing Mario? I'm like, woohoo! Absolutely not. I love it. It makes me happy. When I'm in the morning, if I hear that voice in my head or I hear that music, dun, 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 I know I'm in this optimistic spirit and it's going to be a good day,
So what are the other hobbies you have except food and traveling?
Food, traveling. I like hiking. I love cycling. I did a whole bunch of AIDS rides. Unfortunately, it's been like many years ago. That's what I meant, life going so fast. That was great. Great companionship, meeting lots of wonderful people, riding our bikes from San Francisco to Los Angeles and up in Canada. And, many times just doing these amazingly wonderful rides and hiking, exploring. I love cooking. I love, I love recording. I just enjoy things. I like writing, but I'm so terribly inconsistent, But I do enjoy writing as well. I remember I love writing my things that give me memories for life,
Great.
Yeah, it's great. And people are such a passion to me. I love it. I love walking in cities. I love walking in the country, exploring, really fun.
So when you received our email inviting you to the podcast, you actually were looking very much forward to interacting with us because we are fans.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought, oh, this will be fun. The hard part is just finding an hour that you can just do it,
Oh yeah, so that was pretty tricky, but we worked it out.
I left the show at 9:30. I ran to the restaurant, and they closed at 10. And I said, what have you got that I can take with me? And they said, we don't have anything to go. So I said, well, what can I get really fast? And he said, well, we have a buffet. So I ran over to the buffet and I boofed.
Oh, I'm sorry for the trouble that we
No,
made
it's great.
you.
No, it's great. It's like finding time. It's like that's the most precious commodity of all,
Yes, I noticed that it was not easy. I was just a bit worried because of the late hour, but you didn't seem to mind.
No, it's great. I just arrived a couple of days ago, so my sleep cycle is not quite there yet. So it all works out fine.
It's still
That was actually a chase that in the beginning
yeah. I
when
said
we
it's
were
like
talking.
it's still 2 p.m. for him. So
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Sometimes I can get right into the schedule the next day. I can get up and work all day the next day. Sometimes it takes a few days. It's really hard flying from San Francisco to Asia. Not there. That's so easy. It's ridiculous. Anytime you fly west, it's so easy. But the key to integrating into the time going east is to sleep as much as possible. And boy, is that hard to do in some of those seats.
oh yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So, are you actually planning to go to the Gamescom in Cologne in August?
Well, if invited, I will absolutely be there. I'm hoping to be at Gamescom. That would be so. That's one of my most favorite things ever to do. The people at Nintendo Deutschland and Nintendo Europe are so super nice, and it's just I feel like family. And so I'm hoping for Gamescom. I'm hoping also to do Festa Game in Chile. I have lots of wonderful events throughout the year that going to a SuperCon in Florida and some Comic Cons in Montreal and show in Corpus Christi, Texas, and Dallas, and it's very exciting because the other aspect is I love traveling the world, but I also love traveling in America. We have such amazing different little aspects of our culture that are so fascinating. The food in Atlanta versus the food in Dallas versus the food in Santa Fe. It's so interesting. You think well, what's American food? It's a burger. No, it's not. It's
It's
so
different.
interesting, and the
Yeah.
architecture and the light and the people's sort of feelings about life are so different.
Mm. Well, actually, I was asking because we from the Scene World magazine and podcast, we actually are officially invited by the Gamescom organizers, and I will be there definitely. I already booked my place where to sleep and so on. So maybe we could meet up in person. That would
Well,
be
that would
awesome.
be, I would absolutely love that. That would be absolutely fantastic. So you have to pretend like you didn't do this interview.
Okay, well, that's the deal. So when we come to Gamescom, we will try to meet you. I will
Oh, that
let
would
you
be
know.
so great. And what a great convention that is. Oh my goodness.
Ah,
That's just a spectacular one.
totally awesome.
Oh,
Uh, totally
and
awesome.
and Cologne, what a city, what a gorgeous city. I mean, it's worth going to that just to see the city, but the convention is so full of life and joy and characters and more, cosplay. Cosplay is becoming this huge cultural phenomenon. You can't ignore it anymore. People, here I am in Mark. I see, people running down the street, in little wolf costumes, and as characters from video games and characters from anime, and it's like people are looking at them and smiling and saying, "Hello, Mr. Wolf." It's just so sweet.
Which actually makes me wonder, did you ever dress as Mario as you already have the voice?
I never have. I never have.
Why
I have
not?
a hat,
Why
Well, that's
not?
close enough.
and sometimes I wear the hat.
Okay.
Well, because I do voiceover as a profession, and
Okay.
that's what I do is the voice, and there are a lot of people that do the cosplay a lot better than I could ever do it,
But
and
I'm
I
still
love to see them. I love to take pictures with them. People come dressed in the most amazing, Mario and Luigi outfits, and sometimes. I'll never forget a couple of times, one time in Mexico in particular, the whole family came out, because everyone in the family plays the Mario Kart game, and they had just had a baby, and the mother had made a toad hat for the baby and
wow.
little toad socks for the baby. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was so adorable. It's such a great family fun thing.
great, great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
actually,
great.
I heard in one interview you would love to do the voice of Zelda, but from the Zelda game Link.
Yeah, but I trust Mr. Miyamoto. He said thank you very much, but the character is just exactly what we want right now. And you really have to trust the creative teams that have the passion and joy of making those games, because they're right. It wouldn't add to have Link have a voice necessarily, but what they created is just right. It's just what they want. If Mario were, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the kingdom. I just want to talk to you a little bit. You'd be going, it's like, wait a minute.
Okay, that
I want to
doesn't
play.
fit.
I want to play the game. And some games it's great. Skyrim. I think it's terrific. The creating of the whole world and the words that and the whole language of dragon speak. That's fascinating. That somebody goes to that depth. I think it's just really terrific. Uh, but that's not for every game.
That's
And I
true.
think if you look at 30 years of Mario games, it's such a beautiful legacy, and it's because of the integrity and the values of the creative teams to keep that character really grounded and rooted and consistent. And I think that that keeping that integrity and keeping that consistency is serves the Zelda games and the Mario games much more than Well, we've got memory. Let's add more voice.
That's true. So, are you actually planning to do this for the next 25 years? Because
Oh yes,
many
absolutely.
people we interviewed, they do their stuff they did with even 90 or 91.
Oh yeah, sure. The great thing about being a voiceover actor is you hydrate, 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 and you can keep your voice. You keep your voice. For the guy that did Tony Tiger was something like 88, and he was still doing, they're great, wow, that's so fantastic. I hope I do it for the next 30 years. Gosh, by then I'll be 50. Oh
Wow.
wait, my math is about as good as my video game skills.
But you stopped acting, I read on
Well,
Wikipedia
I
10
don't
years
think
ago.
there's that much of a difference between acting and voice acting. It's
Yeah,
just
you're right. It's the same thing. It's where you put your focus. I didn't
Hmm.
move to LA to make it as a star, and I don't do a lot of auditions right now because I'm having so much fun doing Mario. I can't. I don't have enough time to do an audition for a film or a television, even 1 or 2 days, and be able to commit to it because you audition, then you call back, then you do the job. Well, that's 3 different dates, and I'm not in at home consistently enough to be able to follow through with that. Somebody offered me like several weeks, and I couldn't do it because it was like that would just conflict, and the theater is impossible. I do. My rule is do what you love to do, and my what I love to do is Mario and the conventions and the PR and the advertising, and
Talking to fans like us.
and talking to fans. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's the greatest. Why change that? And also the other thing is too, I will still do. Somebody offers me a video game outside of Mario games. I'll still do a game like Skyrim or something like that. But yeah, there are lots of young people that are just starting out that they need to cut their teeth. And I think at a certain point, it's great to keep doing what I do, and I love what I do, and I don't need to do a whole bunch of different things. I'm happy.
And you don't consider to retire.
No, oh heavens, no, no. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I thought, I don't even know what retire means. Why? What? I don't. I'm going to stop doing what I love so I can go do what I love. I don't. Wait. Hang on. What? Hey, what? To me, it's like I love doing just exactly what I'm doing. And I want to complete that. I want to keep doing that as long as it's fun.
I wonder, since you are so involved in the video game business, did you actually get yourself a bit of background about the history of video games? I mean, like who invented video games and so on?
Do you know, I did read large amounts of Game Over, that a great book on that, and I read, but I don't remember names of who did what, but I also saw a documentary on it on American public service television, which was just great. So fascinating. Yeah, because it was invented by, what we considered back in the day geeks, But I
Yeah.
mean, but to me, it's like, boy, you got to respect that. These people had a sense of fun and creativity. We had one guy in my high school that had a pocket protector, and that haircut and and it was like, it was always interesting to me because he was so different, but so full of passion and so full of into what he was doing. And I'm sure, his name was probably Bill Gates for what I know, that following your passion, doing what you love to do, it definitely brings you joy.
Well, I'm just asking because many people are like, okay, I'm doing this voice actors stuff, and then it's okay, I'm doing the next thing. But what I experience from the conversation right now, you really have some background knowledge about the game that you do voiceover for, or about the technique even though you said you're not a technician, you said a lot about. First, it was a still picture, then there was scrolling and so on. So you got really some background about
Yeah,
the
it's
stuff you're
fascinating.
involved.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. Evolution is fascinating to me. Evolution of humankind, of video games, film. That's so interesting.
So you are
That's
trying to keep up.
It's just fascinating to me because that college course that I took on the nature of man, 3 courses, it inspired me to learn more about people for my whole life. I discovered my real passion right there, and acting is a big part of that passion. The character of Mario is real. The person who uh, faces challenges with optimism and joy, and an everyday human being who is in love with a princess and rescues her. That's very real. The brother who is the second born, who's more timid and but still courageous and still does it anyway. That's more like me and like my brother and me. And the person who's that part of you that's full of self-pity and everybody cheat by me. The Waluigi is very real, and Wario's anger, have a rotten day, is very real. So acting to me is a great fun way to look deeper into us because you are learning somebody's motivations and things. Mario can't be real for you if it's not real for me.
That's
I think.
making
I think
sense.
that's my job as an actor is to just make it real. And that you don't do, you study, learn, study, learn, study, learn, study, learn, study, learn to become an actor and observe, observe, observe. But when you go in for an audition and when you do a voiceover job, I always say this, you're like a dog chasing a stick on the beach. They're not trying to, let me see if I do it this way, if my master will like me more. Or maybe if he'll throw it one more time, if I go get that ball like this or that stick like this, he goes because he just loves to chase the stick. And that's what I do. And I love to chase that stick and I love to create that character. That's what it's all about is that very joy. And that's what I wish for everybody. Whatever it is that you do is follow your heart. The first time that was said to me, I was 28 years old, and I had absolutely no idea what that meant. And I have an idea what it means now, but I don't know what it means now. Follow your heart, pursue your passions, develop your personality. Who are you? What do you care about? I profoundly care about people. I profoundly care about human rights. I profoundly care about people all having the right that is equal and the right of joy and life and pursuing happiness and liberty. I absolutely believe in those principles, and I think it's a moment to moment life choice that we all get to make, and that is our right.
That's
That's
fantastic.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, not everybody has the possibility. That's a
Exactly,
sad.
which is why we have society and why we have civilization, is to help people to get there.
Well, so you really think a lot about society too. So, where do you think we are heading in the next 20 years? What's your perspective about the future?
Exactly to say it, but I just believe optimistically in the future of mankind. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're here evolving and growing.
Great, great.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
so where can
I
people?
hope so. Otherwise, what are we doing here, you know?
Yeah, really, yeah. So where can people go to find out more about you and what you're doing in the future and what we can look forward to?
Now, there you've hit an area where I completely fail. Nowhere that I know of. I guess just keep Google searching me and find out what conventions I'm going to do and what cons I'm going to go to. And if I'm not going to a con that you want to go to, tell them to bring me along because I have a great time. I have just such a wonderful time doing them, and just so great to meet Mario fans and Luigi fans and Waluigi fans.
yeah, yeah.
Somebody tonight said that Waluigi was his favorite, so I I drew a mustache on my own picture, and then I put eyeglasses on and said, "Hello, Mr. Eyeball Guy." Wah, 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 wah.
I even didn't know that there was actually a character named Waluigi until I did the research for the interview for you.
Really? Oh, it's so great. It's such a great character.
I only knew about Wario, because I played Wario Land on the Game Boy when I was a child 20 years ago.
Yeah. I love the Wario, the 3DS games of Wario. The DS games of Wario are really, really fun, and the mini games and things like that. He's a fun character. Have a rotten day. What's not to love about that?
Yeah.
Well, so this was all from my side. I don't know, AJ, do you have anything left to ask?
I think we're good. I think we've gotten all sorts of great stuff, and this has been one of my favorites to do so far. So,
Thank you. Well, it's great talking with both you guys. Thank you so very much.
Thank you,
thank
and
you.
have
The
a good
pleasure's been
night.
ours.
Okay, and let me just say one more thing.
Mhm.
You number one. Woohoo!
Thanks. That's very
Thank you very
kind.
much for playing my games.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank
you guys.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
That was Charles Martinet. And you heard the man. Keep Googling and looking out for him because he does a ton of cons and travels all over the place. He does have a website. It's www.charlesmartinet.com. But if you really want the lowdown, check him out on Facebook at facebook.com/charles.martinet.fan.page. And we'll post links in the podcast description so you get to all these places easily. Charles is also on Twitter. His Twitter handle is @CharlesMartinet. And you can find him on Instagram and Vine, and he's actually got some really fantastic videos on Instagram. His Instagram is Charles Martinet, it's a me. That's Charles Martinet, ITSAME. As for us, you can find podcasts, video interviews, and we occasionally do this disc mag thing too sometimes over at sceneworld.org. You can also feed your podcatcher or find us on iTunes or something, which you've probably already done since you're listening to me. My website is justwestofhell.com. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Arthur J. Heller over there. Oh, and remember to go to extra-life.org and find my fundraising page, and I'll post a link in the podcast description along with everything else we're talking about. But you should find my fundraising page and contribute because it's really to a good cause, and hopefully by the time that you hear this, I will have goaded Joerg into also having a fundraising page that you can find as well, and you can donate to his page if you'd rather do that. Joerg has a website too, though. It's nafcom.eu, and he's on Twitter as well as @nafcom. This has been the Scene World Podcast with AJ and Joerg. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time.